body. And for the residents of Miami-Dade, getting your COVID-19 vaccination is an important part. Help everyone stay safe as we continue to fight the spread. And we can protect those most vulnerable around us. With easy access to vaccination locations and the growing ability for more people to be protected, it's our best shot to keep moving forward. It's our best shot for a strong, healthy community. For more information, visit miamidade.gov/vaccine.
It's Tuesday and it's 11 a.m., which means it's time for the FIU Music Hour on WDNA 88.9 FM, where we present live weekly performances in the WDNA Jazz Gallery and feature students, alumni, and faculty from Florida International University School of Music. I'm your host today and FIU faculty Dr. Russ Spiegel, and along with our producer Dr. Karen Veloz, we'd like to welcome you to our show. Whether you're listening to us at home, in your car, or live on WDNA.org/FIU, we are delighted to have you with us. Today, we are pleased to feature the FIU Latin Jazz Ensemble under the direction of Mike Eckroth, who is the new professor of jazz piano, and featuring FIU School of Music students Ivan Lucia, Sibone Godoy Torres, I hope I said that right, close, and we also have Frankie Reyes, Carlos Cordoba, Jazz Riquer, Ricardo Medina, and Jesus Gallimore. The FIU Latin Jazz Ensemble explores historical and modern styles of jazz based on Afro-Caribbean rhythms and performance styles. And I wanted to say hello to Mike and the band today.
Hi, Russ. Dr. Spiegel, how are you?
Doing very well.
Great to be here.
Good morning for music.
Yeah, it is.
And why don't you tell us a little bit about what you have in store for us today?
All right. I'll probably introduce the tunes as we go. But the first one we're going to do is by kind of one of the progenitors and biggest figures in Latin jazz music, the Cuban percussionist Mongo Santa Maria. This is entitled Mambo Mongo, and the rhythm is kind of a Latin jazz version of mambo, mambo being kind of a commercialized style of music from Cuba, dating back to the 40s and 50s, and this is kind of what they did as they started to kind of do it in smaller bands and not the big band anymore and more of a combo kind of thing, like what we have here today. Where we have violin and trumpet and guitar and percussion, and it's kind of an ad hoc, different kind of a combo setup rather than a big band. But we're still playing the mambo, Cuban mambo rhythm, essentially. So this is Mambo Mongo. Well, I kind of wanted to hear a huge applause after that song, but we are alone with the radio audience, and we're happy to be here playing on this program. So that was a Mongo Santa Maria composition. We're going to go to another Cuban composer, the pianist Emiliano Salvador, and this is kind of one of his iconic songs as well, Puerto Padre, which is the tune, the name of the town, I guess, where he was from originally in Cuba. So, Puerto Padre.
amazing.
See, we got a woo.
There you go.
We got a woo.
That's about as much as I can create with one person's.
Appreciate you. I appreciate you and your woo.
Thank you very much. So, Mike, I have some questions for you, as we always do.
Okay, are they about things we can talk about on the radio?
I hope so.
Okay.
I hope so. That will depend on your answers,
All
think,
right.
more than my questions.
Gotcha.
But depending on how we go with it.
Go for
so, one of the things that I think would be interesting is to talk about, because you are basically a gringo from Arizona,
Oh, yes.
but you've gotten deep into this music that we call Latin jazz. And maybe you could tell us a little bit about how that happened.
Yeah, it actually was a college thing. I mean, I started out as a jazz guy in high school. And as we know, Latin rhythms are part of jazz. So even going back to, like Bud Powell and Max Roach and Ellington or whatever, as far as you go back in the music, people have been playing like tango and rumba and kind of, different Latin rhythms. So that was already there. I kind of knew a little bit about it. And then I ended up playing a salsa tune on a percussion recital. I had a friend who was in the percussion department at the University of Arizona where I got my bachelor's degree. And that was like, oh man, this is kind of cool. I kind of like this. And then I actually ended up being part of a group of people that got really into Cuban music, just, people that were living in Tucson. And that's where U of A is. And, it went on from there. So, I started studying, getting more into it, learning about all the different genres of music, doing all the historical stuff, and it ended up actually, forming part of my dissertation topic after about 20 years of doing it in many different ways, Latin jazz and Cuban music, which I consider kind of part of the same thing. So yeah, it's just been a steady progression since that point. But it was just by chance, a chance happening,
But in the meantime, you've played with quite a number of pretty well-known musicians in that genre.
True, I have. But, that's been more around the New York area because I lived in New York for 15 years. And I played with a lot of guys who were like ex-Fania All-Stars, for instance, Johnny Rodriguez, who I'll be playing with soon in New York. Johnny Dandy Rodriguez, if you go to the LP percussion page, his face is like right there. And he's kind of like the elder statesman of Latin percussion. So and also the late, great Ralph A. Rosari, I played in his group in New York. One of the greatest timbaleros ever, who was in the Barreto band. They both played in Ray Barreto's band, and they were both sidemen to everybody, Ruben Blades, Tito Puente, all the guys. So that's part of that lineage. I got to meet them and all the amazing sidemen that they had. So I'm definitely coming out of that tradition as much as I'm coming out of, whatever, pure Cuban music or whatever. So, but I consider it all to be part of one.
Right, and actually that's an interesting thing because we talk about Latin jazz, but actually there's a lot more to Latin jazz. It's not just like one thing. It's not just Afro-Cuban.
It's not.
It's Argentine music.
Correct.
It's
Correct.
Brazilian music. How do you feel about lumping all that together?
I mean, anytime you're fusing stuff that comes out of the African American jazz tradition with Latin American rhythms or styles, that's Latin jazz. So yeah, I mean, we tend to err more on the side of Afro-Cuban music because that's been the tradition that was really established, especially in New York City, because of all those artists like Mongo Sanria, of course Tito Puente, people like that.
Mario Bauza,
and Cubans and Puerto Ricans that were in the New York area that were playing stuff that was based off of mambo and son and the Cuban rhythms, cha-cha-cha, danzón, stuff like that.
Right, and with your students, what do you have a particular direction you're going, or you're just looking to give them a little bit of everything?
Well, yeah, we are. I am trying to cover different things. So I don't know if this is a good time to talk about our upcoming concert.
Certainly, why not?
We have a concert with this ensemble with a great guest who's a local and internationally known violinist. But now that we have normally two violinists in this ensemble, I thought it was a good time to bring him in as a guest. His name is Federico Britos, and he's been on some amazing albums, including many by Cachao, the more recent albums by Cachao that were recorded, like in the 2000s. He's a violinist on those. And in this group, I try to cover Cachao. I try to cover the New York Latin jazz bands. I try to cover a little of everything, and we usually take some kind of, in the tradition of the music, take a standard or a jazz composition, quote unquote jazz composition, and turn it into Latin jazz too. So we're trying to do a little bit of everything. We haven't actually done, you mentioned Brazilian music and Argentinian music, and let's not even forget about the other part of South America, all the Afro-Peruvian music, music from Uruguay, music from the other countries that have their own rhythms, and each one of those countries has its own stuff, a lot of weird 6/8 beats that we don't even get into yet.
Venezuelan music.
Yeah, it's you know, it's as wide as you can imagine. It's a whole continent, and plus the Caribbean together that would, you know, and plus maybe even if you want to include Mexican music in there. So there's just a ton of music. So we do err a little bit more in this genre normally on the side of Afro-Cuban rhythms, and that's just because it's so much part of the tradition. But I'm definitely not holding us back from doing other things going forward, you know.
If you were an FIU music student, what would you have to do to get into the ensemble?
Well, the ensembles are decided at the beginning of each semester. We have fall and spring semester. And this group has three percussionists, and these guys are all drum set majors. They all study with Ludwig Afonso at FIU. So you don't have to be an expert in Latin jazz or in Afro-Cuban rhythm or anything like that, but you would have to have some interest in this music, and you can ask about it at the beginning of the term. Can I get into this group? And most of that's decided by the department. You know, we want to give everyone a chance to play in different ensembles. So if anyone saw us play last term, you'll see there's a couple different people, and you know, it alternates a little bit.
Right, and you mentioned a concert, but you didn't say when and where.
The concert is April 11th. I don't want to say the wrong time. I'm going to assume it's a 7:30 concert, which is when most of them are. It's at FIU in the concert hall.
The Wertheim Concert Hall?
Concert Hall, that's right. Wertheim School of Music. We have a new name.
That's correct.
So that's upcoming, and we're really excited to have Federico as our guest. We'll be playing some of the stuff we did tonight, as well as some other things that we're going to be working on the next couple weeks.
And speaking of coming up next, you have another song for us before we go into the break.
We do, and this is, I was speaking about Cachao a minute ago. He's just one of the main innovators of the music. And this was actually a danzón. So danzón, the rhythm danzón is like something that has roots in the 1800s. I mean, it goes way back. But this was a modern. Another thing I should mention about the repertoire we have right now is that most of this music was recorded in the 1970s. So there's a tradition that extends, you know, from the 30s up to now, really. But this was a danzón that he recorded on the album. I think it's called Dos. It's an album that has a bunch of amazing, talented stars, including Charlie Palmieri on the piano. Anyways, Jóvenes del Ritmo is a danzón by Cachao, which we will now play.
All right, the FIU Latin Jazz Ensemble.
You're listening to the FIU Music Hour on WDNA 88.9 FM with the FIU Latin Jazz Ensemble under the direction of Professor Mike Eckroth. We'll be right back after these messages. This week, the FIU School of Music will be hosting the following concerts. On Thursday, March 10th at 7:30 p.m. at the Wertheim Concert Hall, guest pianist Dr. Eva Polgar performs a program of Liszt, Dubrovai, and Kodali in collaboration with the South Florida chapter of the American Liszt Society at Florida International University. Dr. Polgar will be also giving a masterclass on Friday, March 11th at 10 a.m. at the Concert Hall, WPAC, or WPAC 170. On Sunday, March 13th at 11:30 a.m. at the Wertheim Concert Hall. Join us for the final concert of the four-part chamber music series of this season, called Beethoven, Brahms, and Banter, on Sunday mornings at 11:30 a.m. And FIU artist-in-residence and violinist Robert Davidovici will be joined by guest pianist Marina Radiushina and Venezuelan cellist Germán Mercano. Audiences can expect 75 minutes of music followed by a Q&A. Also on Sunday at 4 p.m. at the Wertheim Concert Hall, the FIU choirs present Invictus Unconquered. The FIU Concert Choir, led by Aaron Millard, and the university singers, led by Maybelle Troya, celebrate the resurgence of live music in choral and music ensembles, emphasizing the continued growth of each individual. The FIU Concert Choir is FIU's premier choral ensemble and has previously recorded on the Capstone and CRI labels. For this and many more exciting events, you can find information at fiu.universitytickets.com or musictix, that's T-I-X, at fiu.edu. And now, back to our show with the FIU Latin Jazz Ensemble under the direction of Professor Mike Eckroth.
Here's another composition of Mongo Santa Maria. We're doing some of his compositions and other people's compositions from the 70s. This is Sofrito. All right, so that was Sofrito. Now we're gonna go to another Cuban composer. I like to play stuff by Chucho every once in a while. So this is Mambo Influenciado.
Listening to the FIU Latin Jazz Ensemble under the direction of Professor Mike Eckroth with the FIU Music School students Ivan Lucia, Siboney Godoy Torres, Frankie Reyes, Carlos Cordoba, Jazz Riquer, Ricardo Medina, and Jesus Gallimore on the FIU Music Hour on WDNA 88.9 FM. I've been your faculty host, Dr. Russ Spiegel, and along with our producer, Dr. Karen Velos, we'd like to thank our production crew, FIU grad student Samantha Stern, WDNA's sound and tech wizard Alex Aldrich, and the staff of WDNA 88.9 FM for today's broadcast. If you would like more information on all our programs, make sure to call 305-348-2896 or simply like our Facebook or Instagram page to stay up to date with all our upcoming performances. Thank you so much for joining us, and make sure to join the FIU Music Hour for more great music every Tuesday, 11 a.m. to noon. Thanks again to our guests, and what's the last tune we're going to hear?
We're going to play out, right? We're going to play out with El Gaucho. This is an arrangement of a Wayne Shorter classic, El Gaucho.